Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Kaholayam La Alahayanawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Let's learn what's happening around the world as welcome to another current worldwide events being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Let's see what's going on here.
Shifting our focus now, pro-Khalistan demonstrators were held once again outside the Indian High Commission in the United Kingdom. However, unlike the earlier such instances, the protest this time was confined behind police barricades. One more thing was different in today's protest. It was this Indian flag which hung down the exterior walls of the building. A large Indian flag now adorns the Indian High Commission building in London, standing tall alongside the prominent flag displayed in front. The scenes unfolded on the same street as pro-Khalistanis staged their protest. Just earlier this week, a protest was staged during which the Indian flag was taken down and an attempt made to raise the Khalistan flag. The barricades were put up following protests by the Indian diaspora against the vandalism of the UK consulate. The senior-most UK diplomat in New Delhi was summoned on Sunday night after the incident. An explanation was demanded for the complete absence of British security that allowed suspected pro-Khalistan elements to enter the High Commission premises. Earlier on Wednesday, in an incident which is being seen as linked to the developments in the United Kingdom, barricades from outside British High Commission in New Delhi were removed, and the security outside High Commissioner's residence was downgraded.
So as you saw in the video right there were a bunch of Khalistanians who were basically out there protesting. And there's a reason why they are out there protesting. The reason why they're out there protesting is because the people are in a state of mourning. But who's responsible for the people who are in a state of mourning? The so-called elites, okay? The wicked, okay? You know, and a matter of fact, if we read here, right, because the people out there protesting is biblical prophecy that is being fulfilled. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. What is a sedition? A sedition is a rebellion or an uprising against a higher authority. An example of a sedition would be protest, rally, riots. These are all seditions that are taking place in the earth, okay? And a matter of fact, these Khalistanians, okay, are protesting against the government. They're protesting against these puppet leaders, okay? And the reason why they're doing it is because they are in a state of mourning, okay? And why are they in a state of mourning? Because the wicked is in rulership, okay? For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Your kings will be like what? Your presidents, okay? Your princes will be what? Those that have less authority and power than the main government itself, such as your prime minister, your mayors, the judicial system. So ain't nobody going to care what these people have to say, okay? Your Republicans, your Senate, ain't nobody going to care what the kings or the princes have to say. And a matter of fact, the reason why a lot of these people in these third world countries protest or riot is because, because of these puppet leaders that are set up in these different countries. Because, what is a puppet leader? A puppet leader is basically a person who takes direct orders from the CIA or FBI, which operate for the so-called elites, who are the heads of the Illuminati. Okay, so with the wicked, with the Edomites, the so-called white men, starting with the so-called elites, who call themselves Rothschilds and Rockefellers, what they do is that they'll have the original leader of that country assassinated, executed, and then they'll bring in their puppet leader, which will do exactly what they say, okay? So you got people who are protesting and rioting because of these unrighteous decrees that are being passed by these puppet leaders under the orders of the so-called elites, who are the heads of the Illuminati, in which the so-called elites, they normally carry out their messages through the CIA or the FBI. And guess what? If these puppet leaders don't do what the so-called elites say, the so-called elites will have them disposed of, and they'll set up another puppet leader in that country. So these people over there in these third world countries, they're protesting, they're rioting because of all these unrighteous and wicked legislations and all of these different various bills that are being passed, which is doing nothing but only making life harder for people to live. Okay, so all these unrighteous dealings and all these oppressive measures that are being pushed on the world is doing nothing but causing people to riot and protest and to rebel against their government. Okay, it says, and of course their actions shall stand in their power. Now, if we come over here, right, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, it says this: when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Are the righteous in authority? The answer is no. Who are the righteous? The Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. We are not in authority. That's why the people are out there mourning. Why? But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So the wicked is in rulership. Who are the wicked? Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The earth given into the hands of the wicked means what? The wicked has control over the whole inhabited earth, which is the fulfillment of Genesis, the 27th chapter, okay, where Isaac blessed Esau, the forefather of these Edomites, okay, with the fatness of the earth. And when you look up that word earth in the book of Genesis, it goes back to the Hebrew word aradizal, which means the whole inhabited earth. So it was prophesied for Esau, the Edomites, in these last days to have full control over the whole inhabited earth. Okay, and these so-called elites, the descendants of Esau, have full control over the whole inhabited earth, and they rule the earth through their monetary banking system, through these various different puppet leaders of which they set up in these countries to do their biddings. Okay, because that's how these devils move. When a country don't agree with their wine, which is that those wicked philosophies, that democracy, they'll send economic hitmans into a country, agent provocateurs, and then ultimately they'll have the main or the original leader of that country assassinated, executed, whatever, and then they'll set up their puppet leader in that country to do their bidding. So, these people are rioting and protesting because they're not satisfied with the president that is set up in their country. Okay? And a matter of fact, we come over here to the book of Isaiah, chapter 24, verse 4. It says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languish and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. So the whole earth is in mourning. All these radiation spills, chemical spills, the polluted air from train derailments, and now down there in Louisiana, you have a chlorine spill into the air. So you got people inhaling chlorine, which is, causing abnormal effects on their bodies. So the whole earth is in mourning. Why? Because of the wicked being in rulership and because of unrighteous dealings. Okay, let's go to verse 5 now. Verse 5, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Why? Because they, the so-called elites who call themselves Rothschilds and Rockefellers, okay, they have transgressed the laws of the Heavenly Father, right? Because here it is, the Heavenly Father says that a man is supposed to be the head of the household, right? Meanwhile, these devils have the women as the head of the household. These devils have given women rights, authority, power, and liberty to basically do whatever they want, because, whenever these devils present their philosophies to these different countries, what happened? The man becomes effeminized, the women becomes emasculate. Women starts to think that they can just do whatever they want. You got a McDonald's, you got GMO foods there. Okay, So Isaiah 29 verse 16, surely your turning of things upside down should be esteemed as the potter's clay. These devils have everything turned upside down in this society. Why? Because they have transgressed the laws of the Heavenly Father. The Heavenly Father told you not to eat pork, but meanwhile these devils, they'll put pork in foods that are lawful to eat. They'll sell you pork on the market and say, oh, now it's kosher pork. Why? Because he transgressed the laws of the Heavenly Father. Okay, scriptures say that you're not supposed to commit sodomy. Meanwhile, these devils promote sodomy and even give sodomites rights. Why? Because they have transgressed the laws, and that's why the people are in a state of mourning. That's why you got people rioting and protesting around the world, because of these various unrighteous decrees that are going out by these puppet leaders under the orders of the so-called elites. They have changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Let's go to verse 6. And the so-called elites have done this. Okay. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Okay. They are morally desolate. Okay. If you are a man and you're a sodomite, you're morally desolate. But that's what these devils do. They feminize the man. They put the women in charge, and that alone is enough to make a nation or a country of people morally desolate. You got men who want to be women, men who want to be sodomites. Okay, you got they say that you're not allowed to whoop your children. They say that it's okay to get tattoos. They put drugs and all manner of chemicals in these different countries, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and then they'll say that the rate of violence is going up, the suicide rate on drugs is going up, but who's responsible for putting the drugs and the chemicals in these different countries? Okay, some years back when the U.S. went into Syria, they gave certain agent provocateurs down there chemical weapons, which those agent provocateurs released those chemical weapons on the people, and then they put the blame on Assad. Okay, so that's what these devils do, and it's all really to make people morally desolate. Okay, that's why Iran wants nothing to do with the United States or their democracy, because they look at countries like Afghanistan. Okay, right after the United States went into Afghanistan, what happened? The man became effeminized. Women started ruling the households. You had a bunch of GMO Arabs that was growing up not knowing reality from dreams. A bunch of GMO foods there, and basically they started becoming more distant from their natural heathenistic customs, and started living or abiding more by America's democracy, which is that wicked philosophy. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 5. He transgresseth by wine, which is that democracy. Do as thou wilt, which is the foundation of that democracy. Murder, deceit, idolatry, okay, sodomy, adultery, and these things leads to moral desolation. Now you got women wearing pants down there in Afghanistan. They eat pork and all kind of unclean foods. Why? Because the devil went in there and made them morally desolate with their democracy. They did the same thing with Iraq. They did the same thing with Africa. Okay. So Syria's like, look, we're not going to become a country like that. That's why, you look at Syria, you look at Syria, right? And they tried to do the same thing to Syria. But that's where Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, comes in. The Lord commanded Russia to be a guard unto these smaller nations, such as who? Iran, Syria, okay, Libya. Whatever countries have made a pact with Russia, the Lord is commanded to be a guard unto them. Okay. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Okay, and that's why, after these heathens started with the top heathen on the planet, Esau, Edom, served 1,000 years of slavery in the kingdom of heaven, right? they're going to be deleted from out the face of the earth. Okay, the Edomites are going to be deleted from out the face of the earth. But as for the rest of the heathen nations, they are going to get their land and their heritages. Okay, they're going to receive their land and their heritages. Okay, and they're going to have to live and abide by the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Holy Scriptures. Okay, but however, these nations, they will know true peace, prosperity, harmony. They're not going to be drinking, polluted water or breathing polluted air. The food is going to be real. They're going to be able to enjoy, their wives, their children, because in this society, you can't do that. You can't enjoy your children. You cannot enjoy your wives. You wake up and you don't know what you're breathing in nowadays. You don't know if you're breathing in chlorine. You don't know if you're breathing in glycerine. You don't know if you're breathing in chemicals from the train derailment. You don't know what the hell you're breathing in. Okay, that's why, like it says in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 13, nevertheless, we according to his promise. Whose promise? The promise that Yahweh made with our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The promises of what? The kingdom of heaven. Okay, we look for new heavens and a new earth according to his promise. Okay, nevertheless, we according to his promise look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, which that new heaven and that new earth is going to be here on planet earth, which is going to be the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be Yahweh's kingdom. But his elect men, starting with his elect men, they're going to be joint heirs with Yahweh. Okay, and of course the rest of Israel, the 2/3, they're going to come back through the loins of the elect in the kingdom, and they're going to be in their right mind. So once the kingdom of heaven is established here on earth, righteousness is going to be established in the earth. Point blank, period. Okay, but as long as the wicked remains in rulership, there's going to continue to be more riots, more protests, more rallies, more controversial things happening around the world until he be taken out of the way, like it says in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. With that, I'm going to say shalom, is on to the next one.